Hello, I'm Dr. Johnny White. I have a research and teaching background in psychology. I've also founded and sold 2 pro-social platforms while studying. This is my favorite thing to work on, my best idea ever, and we'll start with a video explaining it.
One new student enters university. She looks good on the starting line, and her family, friends, and society all want her to succeed. But adapting is complex. There's no one path. Every individual has to find their own way. In fact, it's so complex that 38% do not graduate. But do you know who's good at complexity? University researchers like us, and machine learning. So we created an app that thrives on the complexity of the situation and the individuality of the student. It starts with questions and a patent-pending slider that quickly captures gesture force, speed, hesitation, and other nuanced data. It assesses risk and the student's program, demographics, habits, and personality. Then our artificial intelligence runs the data on what worked and what didn't for others with similar characteristics. The plans can be the most useful content from the web and social networks, or they can be university resources, student groups, or other campus-specific opportunities. Each plan is rated by each user. Data continually flows to the AI on what works for whom. In a way, it's ridiculous that anyone tackles a new situation alone, when millions have gone before. That time is over. Now the millions effortlessly support the one.
So that outlines the value proposition for students, and we can represent that 38% who do not graduate at the institution they start at via this visual. If we change it over to the administrator's perspective and we think about revenue retained, you can see the amount of revenue that's essentially left on the table, so to speak. The thing about the administrators is they have budget for student success solutions. They're measured on student success and retention. They're excited about our solution, and they can grant fund our technology. To put these numbers into perspective, the local university, Cal Poly, if it were to increase retention by 1%, that would be $2.1 million retained per year. In North America, that would represent $3 billion. How did we get here? We developed the technology and looked at a lot of different verticals for it. In fact, we were under the whips and tutelage of the world's best and meanest customer development experts via the National Science Foundation in Berkeley. But we settled on universities and student retention because the business-to-business sale was the easiest to make for us. The universities are focused on retention. They have budget for this solution, and they were excited about what we were doing. So we partnered with 2 universities. We've brought in over $250,000 in grant revenue, and there's a lot more grant applications that have been put in since. And we've run several prototypes and hundreds of students through them in both the US and Canada. To sell, we attend the conferences that we already attend, and we present this solution, in particular using the data that we're obtaining on what works for whom at universities to sell the student success leads at those universities and get them into our funnel. The student success leads are excited about this product because the notion of individualized action plans makes a lot of sense when what we used to call a non-traditional student is actually the new normal. For competition, we are really mostly in competition with the university student handbook and the hundreds of websites affiliated with any university based on our student research. However, there are student success technologies in this space. Primarily, those fall into 3 categories. There are student management softwares for admins that send them swooping in to get a student who's not attending classes. There are chatbots and event schedulers. And then there are small-scale social networks for the university. We can exist alongside any of these, but we're differentiated in that our solutions are individualized and based on data so that they are valid and reliable. In terms of revenue projections, we have 7 universities who signed on formally as being interested in our product. We aim to close 2 of those in the next year and then multiply that by roughly a factor of 10 in the next 2 years. In terms of market sizing, the total market would be every post-secondary student in North America. The serviceable market consists of the students who are at mid to large-sized universities that are focused on data, and also in the geographical areas where the overseeing bodies are most emphatic about student retention. The core of our technology is optimizing for goal achievement by suggesting actions and understanding the user. I've been focusing on this in a university context, but we've had a lot of other contexts fall into our lap since we started building this thing. In fact, we already have a paid trial for disadvantaged youth at one of the universities we're working with. One of my favorite potential verticals to talk about is new moms. You can imagine using the slider to answer a lot of questions pertinent to new moms that would then sort the video, book, social media, and local resources that are available into the order in which they are most likely to work for that individual mom. Another opportunity that's fallen into our lap is licensing. We had an advisor who works with a corporate learning and development content management company that has a huge video library, and they said, can we use your technology to sort our video library so that the right video gets to the right person at the right time? What I want to emphasize here, though, is that we're focused on universities initially and being able to scale in that market and replicate our processes. And indeed, that's what this chunk of fundraising is for, before we move on to exploring some of these other verticals. Concerning revenue, if we space out our university projections and slide in the projections from the other verticals that we anticipate getting into, we can see that these other verticals are likely to outpace the university market within 4 or 5 years. I've been very lucky with the team. I started this thing 2 years ago. One of the first people I went to was a brilliant psychology professor and former supervisor of mine, Steve Smith. He happened to then be the AVP at his university in charge of student success, and he got really excited about using this in the student success space. He has helped us negotiate over $250,000 in grants, as well as a major research and development program. Jolie joined us more recently. She has built and scaled 2 companies in the health space, and she keeps us on track from a business perspective. The technical team is led by Shamir, but also helped out by Professors Yasushi and Pawan, who supervise graduate students in computer science who are working on our machine learning algorithms. More locally, we have Jack and Caitlin helping us out. They're both recent graduates, and they oversee a lot of interns and student projects where people are looking at the UX and really getting that dialed in. In terms of advisors, we've also been very lucky. I worked at MindBody as a platform evangelist and stayed friends with Blake. He got really excited about the technology for self-help and actually seeking enlightenment. Rich Murray has done this kind of thing many times before, and he got on board as we were forming our board. Tom Brander is a benevolent and harsh machine learning expert who has really kept us on track to make sure our technology is solid and can scale. Lauren Cooper is a professor at Cal Poly in engineering who got excited about using our product to solve some of the soft problems that her students come to her with in a hard way that they might actually adapt. In terms of exits, if we stay in the EDU space, likely acquirers would include Chegg, McGraw-Hill, Pearson, NetDragon, and the likely exit price would be around 100 to 200 million based on what's happened before. If we jump the fence and get into the other verticals, we're looking at a much higher exit price, likely around $1 billion. What we're asking for right now is $160,000, again, to penetrate and scale in the university space. I think the best technologies offer solutions that are so sensible and so obvious in retrospect that they disrupt, but then they quickly fade into quiet usefulness in day-to-day life. My favorite examples are toilets, plumbing, electricity, platforms like Craigslist, Wikipedia, Airbnb, or ride sharing. Our platform name, Trees, is based on the understanding that who somebody grows into organically is based on their roots, and that there are others around them doing the exact same thing all the time. With this technology, nobody needs to feel lost, nobody needs to feel alone. We can see what worked for others around us and indeed use that to grow even higher ourselves. We hope that you'll join us in this future that we're creating. Thank you for your time.